All right, so first things first, let's pop us in for good luck. All right, let's get into the video. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through the system that I use to go from 0 to 100K producing. And it also helped me get over 127 million streams, become a top 2% producer, and get over 9 records on the Spotify top 50 charts. So this worked pretty well for me. And my hope is that it will simply just work well for you as well. So I just wanted to share this. So part 1 is music. So the first part of the system is actually the music itself. And of course, I needed to get good at beats first, like put my 10,000 hours in. And I would say that goes for anybody that's trying to make this a career, because you need your 10,000 hours. So I'm gonna just show you, like, literally up until this point I made, sometimes I don't count, but I try to count all the beats because I think it's fun. But up until this point I made, over 3,500 beats. So it's quite a lot. And I think I did over like 1,000 beats before I even reached out to anybody and like try to work with anybody, or at least like 700-800, something like that. Is that required? Probably not. I probably went extreme. I should have probably started reaching out earlier, but it's still a pretty good idea to actually get good and get comfortable making beats and just develop the skill. However, even though I actually had this skill, and this is why I think it's kind of a problem, even though I had this skill, I still got like a lot of rejection whenever I reached out to people, or I tried to get people on my beats. Like, I started with my friends, just working with them, and even they didn't want to get on my beats. And the only reason that they didn't want to wasn't necessarily because the beats were bad. I think that I spent way too much time focusing on trying to make good beats rather than making beats that are a fit, because my beats simply just weren't a fit for the artist. And that's what I learned, that it's kind of unnecessary to spend all of your time just trying to make the best beats possible, like the coolest sounding beats with the side chaining and upwards compression and doing all of these like advanced mixing techniques. Like, sure, it's fun for the vibes and it's fun to like get really good at your craft, but when it comes to like the career side of things, I noticed that does not matter a lot. It's more just about making the right beat for the right person at the right time. And that is one thing that I weren't doing. Now, to actually fix that, what I started doing is that I listened to, well, if you're in the US, you listen to the Billboard. However, I listen to the top 50. That's like our version of Billboard. So basically, I just listened to the top 50 and I just went through all of the songs on there to get an understanding of what it was that actually worked. So whatever country you're in, you can just search on Spotify the top 50 for that country, and you're going to get this list of 50 songs that are the most listened songs as of right now. And what that does for you, like listening to them, is that not only will you kind of like download into your brain what good sounds like, because you'll be listening to the top performing songs. Not only that, but then you can also start using the songs that are working as references, and you can start spotting patterns. So that's what I did. And I started spotting these patterns of like, okay, this is what's working. I can hear that these types of chord progressions are being used over and over and over again. I should probably use those. I can hear that this type of drum sound selection is being used over and over and over again. I should probably use that. I can hear that this type of drum pattern is trending right now. I should probably get in on that. So basically you gain this understanding of the market that you're in, and that's what I needed to do as well. And once I had that understanding, I started to realize like, okay, this is what people actually want, and this is how I make this. And that's like on the, I guess, macro level. So that's on the in the big picture level. You figure out just what people want in general. Then once I worked with people, I would always like ask for references and make sure that whatever I did was customized and tailored to them. because not only do I understand what works in general, but I also then understood what that specific artist that I was working with wanted. And basically what I started doing is, instead of trying to reinvent the wheel with every single beat that I made and try to come up with some new, crazy, unique idea, because I almost believe that those don't exist. But instead of trying to do that, I just did what worked and do like what works. So a typical thing that I do is, like, whenever I had an artist that I wanted to make beats for, I just listen through their songs, get a good understanding of like where they're at and what kind of style they like making. Then I just find references in that style and make them myself. So I find high performing references. I gotta emphasize that, like references that are actually streaming and people like listening to, then use those as inspiration for the stuff that I'm making. And I found that to work really well, because you're basically taking a winning concept of a beat, you're doing it in your own way, and that increases the chances of somebody actually liking your stuff. And I learned this from just, working with a lot of artists and them always like showing me references, as well as there was this one time I got to meet early on I got to meet a Grammy award-winning producer, and I saw that he was using references, and I realized, like, okay, that's where it's at. That's what all the people are doing. They're basically taking what works, doing it in their own way, and that's how you make beats that really are fit, and that is what the market wants. Now part 2 of the system is branding. But before we get into that, if you want more help and you're a producer who wants to produce full time, then I have a free community just for people like you. And as you can see, people are here and they're getting wins, they're making progress. I'm in here every day helping out for free. We also got free feedback call every week, and it's pretty good. So you're very welcome to join. Now, there's also options for people who want to go there a little bit faster to work with me one-on-one. However, that is not for everybody, but you're very welcome to join, check it out, get the free help, and potentially see if we can even work one-on-one to help you get there even faster. Now, back to the actual video. So, part 2 of this system is branding. And I used to have a really bad IG page, which made networking super hard. And this is a common pattern I see for a lot of people who are doing outreaches. They're doing the right things, like reaching out to people and trying to network, but they're absolutely like not getting any responses whatsoever. And there was this one guy I was helping out with this a while back, and he sent like 100 messages. And I didn't take a look at his Instagram profile before. So he was just sending out like a bunch of messages. I was thinking like, hey, what is it that's going wrong here? Because you're sending out so many messages, but nobody is responding. Like, what's happening? Like, with this amount of volume, at least some people should get back to you. And what I realized was that his page was basically just consisting of this, which was just black screen recordings all over. And he also had stuff like this, like the really weird looking like AI cover art images and stuff like that. And that was the entire page. And I think the profile picture was like a logo, which can work, which isn't, or no, sorry, it actually can't. I don't know why I said that. It can't work because people like connecting with other people. And this just, I don't know, gives off the wrong vibe. It's like you're not really serious about this. You're just some random anonymous AI producer type of situation. So like avoid logos and things like this. And instead, and like my page was pretty similar. I had like the black screen recordings. I had a logo as my profile picture, and it wasn't really that great. So the first part of this is the branding, and it's just about setting my Instagram up. So I did that. And basically what I focused on is three core pillars of branding, which is proof. Proof weighs really heavy, and proof is like releases, achievements, really anything that solidifies proof. It can be your beats as well. Like you should definitely show off your beats, especially in the beginning when you don't have any other proof. Like I had to do that because I didn't have anything else to show. So if they sound good, like that's proof. Then we have process, and process is just like having pictures in the studio and you working on stuff. This is like the second most important after proof, because you want to like give off the vibe that you're a producer and you're in the studio and you're working and you're actually doing stuff. Like you want somebody to look at your Instagram and be like, okay, cool, this is a producer. Like you want to make that kind of clear, because if not, and there was this other person I was helping and he kind of had that problem, and fixing this helped him get way more responses and make more progress. But basically his page just looked like a random guy's Instagram. Like he didn't look like a producer, and the only reason was that it wasn't showing the process enough. Like there was barely any pictures of him in the studio. There was barely anything that signaled that he was actually a producer. So process, and then we have personality. And personality is basically like, you could save stuff like fit pics, or if you're doing something that's like not directly related to music, but you're doing some cool stuff, maybe you're visiting some cool places, you're traveling, whatever, that is also good to have. And having good looking pictures like that is also nice, because it just shows that you're a human being and that you're doing stuff. So I'm going to show you my new Instagram, and I can also show you my old one, but this is my new one. And right now, I'm going to be honest, I'm lacking on the personality thing, because I'm, to be honest, not using this too much. But basically, here we go. Just me, some random pictures like process. This one also process in the studio, a nice looking studio. And then I put the black screen recordings in here. So I still, show off the beats. But I lace it with this just to make it look more nice. Then also this, of course, proof. Definitely great stuff to have. And stuff like that, I can also show you my old one. Hold on. So here's my old one. Nothing crazy, to be honest. Like, I'm not the greatest one at all at this, but some lifestyle, pictures of releases, that's proof. And yeah, so it's pretty straightforward. Doesn't have to be anything crazy or super advanced, but just have it look nice, basically. That's part two, that's branding. And most of this is going to come down to proof. Like, that is going to do most of the heavy lifting here. However, you need this set up just to start getting the proof in the first place. Now, part three of this system is the connections and collabs. So I remember this because I was at a point in time, I was just working with a lot of random small artists, and I was complaining to my friend about this, and I was complaining about the lack of placements I had and the lack of money I had, and I was just complaining, being a little bitch. Hold on. Time for another Zin. I'm abusing these, by the way. But yeah, I was just complaining a lot. And then I remember he just looked at me and it was like, bro, do you think that any of the people that you're working with right now have the potential to ever make a hit or a big song? And I was like, nah. And he's like, well, how do you expect them to then be able to make songs that will pay you, or even pay you because they're broke, like they don't have any money? Like, how do you expect that to happen? Like, how do you expect to get placements and money when you're not working with people capable of giving you placements and money? And that was kind of a light bulb moment for me. And I was like, shit, you're right. I can't expect that. So instead of just working with random artists, which, by the way, isn't a bad thing, we all need to start here just to build our skill and basically get a little bit of proof in the form of people actually working with us. So instead of just working with super random small artists where the numbers are looking like this, I started working with connected artists. Perhaps they don't have big numbers either, but they're connected to bigger, like good up and coming artists and big artists. So when they're connected to these people, it's actually way better, because if you work with these people will see that, and you'll start building a reputation and notoriety with these people. And these people are the people that actually have the capability, or where you have the possibility to get the placements and the money. So I started working with a lot of connected artists, and that really paid off well. So here at this point, what I did was that I just used Instagram to network, and I did that through story reposts, and this I found worked pretty well. So basically, I'd go to a big artist Instagram page, and it doesn't have to be the biggest. It can be somebody with like 500K monthly listeners. Those are pretty good range, because those will still be following people and not be like too famous. But 500K monthly listener range, find the connected artist to them, because this is where I eventually want to get to. Find a connected artist to them. And then I just start by reposting their stuff to my story. So for example, if I found a connected artist, I'd repost a release of theirs to my story and just tag them. And the reason I do that is because, first of all, it goes to their inbox. Second of all, it's just showing love. And it's far more likely that you'll be able to build a relationship with somebody and start working with them, rather than just like spamming people with DMs saying, yo, let's work. So I usually start with like a story repost or a comment. Comment, same thing. It can be as simple as a fire emoji, although making a comment that stands out a little bit more and actually putting like 30 seconds of effort to comment something genuine definitely works. But story reposts, comments, to kind of get the attention and just show love. And then DMs. And DMs, same thing. I wouldn't like ever open with, hey, yo, let's work. I found that to not work as well for me. And I also used to do these ridiculous like introductions to myself. So I would basically say like, hey, I'm a producer from this city and I produce this and this song. And I would love to send you some beats. And it's like, bruh, nobody cares about you. Like, why are you giving them a one-page introduction of how you're an up-and-coming hungry producer? Like, I used to do that, but it's ridiculous. So I stopped doing that. And instead, what I found work pretty well is to just reach out with a personalized compliment. So right here, I just said, bro started 2026 with a banger, because he released the song like straight out the gate this year. Listening to Roller Coaster right now. Nice work, G. Boom. Easy, got the response, and then that's when I carry the conversation forward. Like, hell yeah, bro, looking forward to it. Been making a lot of beats like that myself lately. Would love to make you some for you. Is that the vibe you're on right now or something else? So here it's like, I just acknowledge what he said. So you want to acknowledge and just not like ask questions. But it's like, I acknowledge what he said. I add a little bit to the conversation so that it flows naturally. And then just say, hey, would love to make some for you. Is that the vibe you're on right now or something else? And the reason I'm asking this question is because I want to figure out like, okay, what is it that he's actually on, so I don't give him the wrong stuff. And that also shows that you care enough to where you actually want to work with this person and actually give him something that he wants. So that works well. And I did that. And I focused on relationship and building with artists over one-off collabs. And goal is basically to become the go-to producer. And when I say like relationships and building, what I mean is that first of all, you figure out what they want, you make custom stuff for them, and you really try your best to bring the best version of a song to life. So that can mean, getting in the studio. A lot of time I got in the studio and work with them to not only like help them pick beats and actually chime in on the production. So be like, okay, I think that this beat would be really good for you. Like, you would suit on this type of beat. We could make this type of song. I think that would work really well. Or just, making custom beats for them, dealing with their requests and using their requests in a way where you're making a beat that they want and that they would be good on, so that you can make the best type of song possible. And also, like, in this session, focus on just working with them. And when I say working with them, what I mean is that you help them with the lyrics, perhaps. You help them with the delivery. You record multiple takes. You make sure that everything sounds good at the end of the day. You perhaps remake the beat a little bit after they record it to make them sound even better and bring their performance up. restructure, mix it, master it, even if you have to. But like focus on relationships and building with these artists and become the go-to producer. Because I noticed that there's like outsized returns to working with somebody consistently. Not only, like if you work with an artist that's connected to up-and-coming and big artists consistently, they're going to see that you're consistently working with somebody in their circle and you're doing a great job. That, and also you build a really good relationship where you can actually start bringing this artist up and improve this artist, and the artist will start getting more and more notoriety themselves, which also helps with getting to these people. And then once you get to these people, like the real strong up and coming, like the medium-sized artists with 100K to 500K, like the real up and coming people that actually already have a buzz, like once you get to here, you can really build with them. And when I did that, that is actually what got me most of the top 50 records. It wasn't necessarily like going for the established ones, but working with the ones that were at like 100K to 200K monthly listeners, then locking in with them, helping them make the best songs possible so that they could break out of that and get on the charts and get and like make their biggest songs. I found that to work really well. This, although established, but like this works too. But I found that, again, same artists, like working with same artists over and over again and just helping them solidify their sounds really helps you as a producer, and it helps you gain like a stronger position. And what I found that when I did this and I worked with connected artists and I consistently worked with them and locked in with them, these people would then actually reach out to me sometimes. Even though I also made sure to leverage the connections and releases I had to reach out to the up and coming and bigger artists. But especially when I worked with the up and coming and made songs that hit the charts and stuff, these people would then see that, they would think that's fire and then reach out to me. So you kind of build this like ecosystem of collabs and just building a good reputation for yourself. And that worked really well for me. So focus on relationships and building helped me a lot. And the flow I kind of went through, or the stages I went through, is like you start small. You start with people who have, well, in the beginning, you probably start with people who have 0 monthly listeners, but then you start with the one with like 10K, 100K. And I know that this is a big range, but you kind of have to climb here as well. So you won't just start with this. You might start with this, perhaps even smaller, then work your way up. Then you go to the medium. So 100K, 500K, and then from there you get the big ones with 500K plus and build with them. And what I found is that, sure, you want to be proactive and reach out. However, you still don't want to like ignore these artists, because by building with these, you create the groundwork that will allow you to get these people and actually have them reaching out to you, which is pretty sick. So yeah, that's part 3, which is connections and collaborations. So basically just use Instagram to network for story repost, comments. Do that with mainly artists connected to up and coming and bigger artists, and really lock in with them and focus on making the best songs possible. So that's connections and collabing. Now, last thing is, of course, that in order for this to make you any money, you need to get paid. And in the beginning, I like to work for free, or I worked for free. And the reason I did this was because I realized that getting the proof in the form of releases and stuff like that helps with getting paid later. So as you can see here, we basically have like levels, right? We have the 10K to 100K, the medium. So whenever I broke into a new level, I would do the first one for free. So for example, I get a 10K monthly listener artist, I work with him for free. Fine. But then once I've done that, I'm at that level now. I charge for everybody that's at that level or underneath that level. And same thing goes for like, if you go from 10K to 50K, you work with somebody with 50K, well then everybody underneath of that, you charge. And then you just keep doing that higher and higher, the higher and higher up that you go on the ladder. But basically, get the payment talk done early. So I preferably like this, as soon as we link up or we get in the studio, And I just say, hey, by the way, typically I charge per song. I like charging per song. So once we have a song you want to release, this is the price. And that's just how it works. It doesn't really have to be complicated, more complicated than that, especially if you built a relationship with them before. And if they say no, well, don't work with them. Then also, people with potential, I prefer splits, because if I see potential that we can make a song that gets over like at least 2 or 3 million streams, I know that splits on the back end will probably pay more, especially if they're like broke trap artists. The splits would probably pay more than whatever else I could get upfront. If there's no potential upfront, and this is also a thing, like I try to avoid artists who I didn't see potential with as much as possible, because I rather like just work with an artist that has potential, because first of all, that will grow my brand and I can get the splits. Then as for payment, I would do 20 to 30% on the master with independent artists, 1.5K minimum per song for upfront for labels upfront, and then 50-50 on publishing, or however many people involved in the record. So that's how I would do the payment side of things. And that's basically the system. So part 1 of the system is just making beats that people want and that are a fit. Part 2 is branding, like getting your page right, getting your Instagram page right, making sure it looks good. Part 3 is getting the connections and collabs by working yourself up and building with people. Part 4 is just getting payments, get the payment talk done early, 20 to 30% on the master with indies, 1.5K upfront with labels minimum, 50-50 publishing. And this is all I did to help me get to 100K more. So hopefully this was helpful, and I'll see you in the next video.